If you have a Mini 4 Pro and you're going to be flying it this weekend, you turn the drone on and you'll see a new firmware update is available, but I really wouldn't actually update it unless you want your controller to look like this. So the new firmware for the Mini 4 Pro when you turn it on is RC2 firmware 06000037. It's a large file size, over a gigabyte. But with having a large file size like that, normally it's indicating some sort of new features or something different about this. But unfortunately, the only thing different for me is this like white screen that comes on the screen now. Something has not gone well here with this new firmware. So this is why I'm saying a quick video, I really wouldn't update it. Now, I'm not going to call this the white screen of death because you still can fly your drone. But as you'll see in a second, even then, a lot of the settings are just a bit all over the place. Something just isn't right. So hold off on this. Now on the controller you still have the go fly, but everything else in this corner like the settings, your service, it isn't there. Now if you do keep clicking on this screen, eventually the settings will come up, but it's not working great. Now I did turn the controller off, I turned it back on again, I turned the drone on, I tried to reinstall the firmware to see if there was like another firmware update, and nothing. So I am stuck with this. Well, I will show you one way how you can actually fix this at the end of the video. Now DJI are normally really quick at actually solving these issues. So something's wrong with this firmware. So I wouldn't go and update it. If you see this prompt on the screen, just skip it. Wait a couple of days, maybe even tomorrow, and then there'll be yet another update in which this should be all resolved. But let's just show you now, I did a quick test on the Mini 4 Pro and some of these settings on here, they've just been reset to completely like bizarre numbers. And also the gimbal isn't working good either. So don't update this, but let me show you. Okay, so if we click on the Go Fly, that's the only button I can clearly click on here. And now as I start flying, I'm about literally 17 meters in and I'm getting this message saying max flight distance reached. I'm like, dude, I'm only 19 meters away and you were telling me this is the max flight distance. What is going on? And this is what I mean. There's been a lot of like really bizarre settings changes. So if I go into the settings here and have a look, you can see obstacle avoidance is switched off. I've got no map on. Return to home altitude is set at 20 meters and my max altitude and distance is also 20 meters. So to my friends in America, this is about 65 feet, so not really very far. So I'm going to change this now. Max altitude, 120 meters, 400 feet. And the distance, I just set it to no limit. I'm in control then of how far I want to go, obviously law dependence. Obstacle avoidance action, I have that set to bypass. And bypassing options on the Mini 4 Pro, I will use normal. Nifty is a bit too risky. I definitely want the radar map switched on, and then under return to home, advanced return to home, optimal or preset. On the Mini 4 Pro I select preset, but you can see the altitude is 20 meters, again like 60 odd feet. It's just so low. So let's select that to around about 55 meters, that's much better. So go through these settings if you've already updated, make sure, especially advanced safety settings, this is set to return to home. If you're moving around, set it to hover, but return to home like 95% of the time, that's what you want to keep it on. Well then also just look at the gimbal. So the horizon is completely off. Now granted it is quite a breezy day, but I've flown in much stronger winds and it's never done this before. So the gimbal is completely like a bit skew-iff here. So if we go to control and we'll go down to gimbal calibration. If we click on recenter gimbal, first of all, this normally fixes it. And you can see that like it's better, but it is still not perfect. You see, as I'm flying now, that you can just tell how much that horizon is off. So the other way you can do this is if you go into the settings again and you have more of a customization option. So we'll go to gimbal calibration, but again, look, you've got this like cloud exclamation mark again. So I can go on to manual, and then I could adjust the horizon myself just by going either the plus or minus options. So if I just do this a couple of times, that's starting to look a lot better now. But this should also be auto calibrated from the drone. So again, something's not going right here. Now your vision assist is working as expected like before, so you can still drag this around. So if you missed the video I did a few versions ago on this update, we can now enhance this to have it full screen, but you can also move it around and have it dropped anywhere on that screen, as well as your radar map. You can see now it also says front, left, right, and back in more bold fonts. This is the only type of like update I'm seeing from this. You can see where it says N mode in the top left hand corner. It's also a different font, and the home icon is a different font. That is kind of like the only thing that's changed with this. But I do love the vision assist camera. If you've not used it, definitely go and use it. When you're finding tricky environments, close to things, through objects, this is a great feature, and now you can just drop it directly above your radar map. Under camera controls, these had also changed. I always film in D-Log M, and I'll have color display assist switched on. So if you do the same, make sure that's back to how you want it. And also grid lines. I always have grid lines on. I either have these two grid lines on, which is going to be great for framing composition, or I'll have the middle and the last one on all the time. You don't want to be flying without grid lines. It's going to help you out so much. And you can see under style, it's far too sharp out of the default settings, so I have that switched down to -2. That had also changed. Now, the feature I mentioned last time, which is great, is now when you click on the home icon on the left hand side, it brings up this new menu where you have an option saying update home point. So now you can click on that and it will take you directly to the screen where you can update your home point much faster. So you can set it to your controller. So if you're on a boat, for instance, you might be cycling a bike and your home point is changing all the time, then this is a great way of actually updating that home point much faster than going through the settings. That is still the same as before. Now, all the intelligent flight features are still working, so focus track, active track, spotlight mode, waypoints, everything's working just like before. Nothing's changed there whatsoever, but I would be really cautious about using them if you've updated to this software like I have already, just because of that gimbal. It's really unpredictable how the horizon keeps going off. So I will show you soon how you can actually go back to the previous firmware. For me, I'm literally just using this for a test to see how it's gone, and then I'm just going to default back to the previous version. And I also notice under control, if I go down to remote controller settings, which is at the bottom of this menu, you've got button customization where you can control certain things by pressing the C1 or C2 button. I have mine set to cruise control, and that had also changed. So if this has already happened to you, if you're already updated, go make sure everything is correct. But cruise control, I'm using this feature all the time. It is a fantastic feature. I hope you're using cruise control as well, because it is great, but I want that to be my C1 button, and it wasn't. So this firmware, you can see, is a few like little issues here that it's just like adding up. It really isn't worth it. So honestly, just go and skip this. I don't see how it brings anything different in this large size, apart from maybe like a different icon, different fonts. There isn't anything major that you need to go and update for, and then you're going to avoid getting this white screen. Now, the only way to rectify this is actually to go back to the previous version. And the way you can do that is you have to download the DJI Assistance app on your computer. You can then plug a cable into the controller, and then you can go back to the older firmware. So that's what I'm going to be doing, waiting for the new one to come out. But just to avoid that, just don't even update. And don't forget, if you want any more tips on here, I have my own Mini 4 Pro cheat sheets. These come in a physical book like this, double-sided, and it shows you everything that you need to know on that Mini 4 Pro, all the settings to use, the features, beginner to pro settings. These are really handy. It comes with a carabiner clip so you can clip it to your bag, and free shipping all around the world. I also have digital versions as well. I've just released a 50-page digital ebook for the Mini 4 Pro, going through like everything in detail. If you want to go and check out any of these cheat sheets, I'll link them at the top of the description. Have a fantastic weekend. If you enjoyed it, just hit that like button, subscribe, because it's going to be a really, really good April and May. And I'll see you in the next one.